Ethan Carter sat at his desk, his eyes fixed on the computer screen. He had just finished running a batch of code for TitanTech's latest project. The hum of the office around him felt distant, his focus absolute. Ethan was the quiet genius behind the scenes at TitanTech, a multi-billion-dollar software company. His algorithms ran like the heartbeat of the business, invisible to most, but vital to its success. Then it came. The email notification popped up on his screen. At first, he didn't think much of it. He had just wrapped up a major project, and maybe it was a simple update or notification. But the subject line froze him. Effective immediately, your position at TitanTech has been terminated. His hands trembled as he clicked the email open, the words glaring at him like a slap to the face. Your position has been terminated due to restructuring. Please collect your personal belongings and leave the premises immediately. Ethan stared at the screen, feeling a cold rush of panic rise up from his chest. This wasn't supposed to happen. He had been the architect behind the company's most innovative breakthroughs, the unseen force that drove their most successful software. Without him, TitanTech would crumble. But they were tossing him out just like that. His mind reeled, but before he could process the shock, his phone buzzed. It was Jordan Hayes, his best friend, and the only person who had ever truly understood him in this company. Ethan picked up the phone, his voice hoarse. Jordan, I don't know what just happened. They fired me, he stammered. Jordan's response was immediate, almost angry. Are they crazy? You're Titan. Without you, there's nothing. I'm coming over. Don't move. Ethan's vision blurred. TitanTech was everything to him. It had been his dream job, the place where he had proven his worth as a programmer. How could they just let him go? Ethan had expected to feel lost, to wallow in his failure. Instead, a different emotion took hold. Anger. How could they do this? He was the one who made TitanTech, the powerhouse it was. But his pride was nothing compared to the disorienting feeling of being thrown away. The next day, as he entered TitanTech's building, he couldn't ignore the distinct shift in the atmosphere. The air was thick with change. TitanTech was under new leadership. Ryan Grayson, the son of the late CEO Richard Grayson, had assumed control. Ryan was arrogant, driven by numbers and profit margins. Programming, innovation, and the very systems that had made TitanTech great? They were nothing but costly overhead in his eyes. During his first all-hands meeting, Ryan stood before a sea of employees and declared, "We need to optimize. These programmers are eating into the company's profits. From now on, we're restructuring. The future of TitanTech will be about efficiency, and that means cutting dead weight." Ethan sat in the crowd, his stomach sinking. The restructuring was going to affect his team, the programmers, the backbone of TitanTech's success. Before he knew it, Ryan had made it clear that TitanTech's future didn't need Ethan. He was the first to go. It felt like a punch in the gut. Jordan, furious and perplexed, stormed into Ethan's office, slamming the door behind him. "This is insane, Ethan. They can't do this to you. They need you. You've given them everything. What are they thinking?" Ethan rubbed his eyes. He had given everything to TitanTech, only to be cast aside like yesterday's news. But something shifted in Ethan's heart. He had always been defined by his work, his career, but now, he had to define himself. After receiving the termination email, Ethan's first instinct was to reach out to Vanessa Blake. She had been more than just the personal secretary to the CEO. She had been the woman who made him feel like he belonged, the woman who had always whispered in his ear that he was destined for greatness. But now, all he felt was cold distance. Vanessa, once his confidant, had become a stranger. When he finally met her for dinner, the warmth he had always felt in her presence was gone. The restaurant was quiet, the dim lights casting shadows over the two of them. Ethan tried to hold on to hope, but he could see it in her eyes. She was already looking past him, like he was no longer worth her time. "Ethan." "I've been thinking," she started, her voice cold, detached. "This isn't working. I can't be with someone who doesn't have a clear future. You're unemployed. You have no plan." Ethan felt his chest tighten. Was this really happening? The woman who had told him she loved him now stood before him, unrecognizable. "But you always said," he started, his voice shaking. "Things change," she interrupted, her gaze hardening. "I can't afford to stay stuck. I'm seeing someone else now, Ryan. He's making moves. You're just not enough." Ethan's heart shattered as she finished her wine, avoiding his eyes. Reeling from Vanessa's betrayal, Ethan returned to his apartment. The world he had known had collapsed, and now it was time for him to rebuild. Not just his career, but his life. But things at TitanTech were spiraling out of control. Without Ethan's expertise, their software began to malfunction. Major projects were delayed, and clients were growing impatient. Ryan's decision to fire the programmers was beginning to backfire in ways no one had anticipated. With every passing day, the company's credibility began to falter. Meanwhile, the junior programmer Maya, who had always admired Ethan from afar, reached out. Maya had always been quiet, preferring the world of code to the noise of office politics. But she was smart, brilliant even. Ethan had noticed her a few times, exchanging technical tips and conversations about algorithms. They were both introverts, too shy to take the next step. Maya sent Ethan a message late one night. "If you're building something new, I want to help." That was the twist. Ethan wasn't just creating a new program anymore. He was creating something that would change everything. And with Maya's help, they were unstoppable. As their partnership blossomed, Ethan began to see Maya in a new light, not just as a colleague, but as someone who believed in him when he felt abandoned by the world. Her quiet support became his anchor. It wasn't just about revenge on TitanTech anymore. It was about proving to himself that he could rise from the ashes. Weeks passed, and Ethan and Maya's program began to take shape. Together, they created a software that could do everything TitanTech's system couldn't, streamlining processes, improving efficiency, and cutting costs in ways TitanTech's leadership had never imagined. Jordan came by one evening to check in on Ethan. "Man, you're on fire! You've got something here. Forget TitanTech. You don't need them. You're about to take over the world. Oh, and while you're at it, maybe ask Maya out, huh?" Ethan laughed, but Jordan was right. The bond he shared with Maya had evolved. She was more than just a colleague. She had become his partner in both business and life. Together, they were building something greater than anything Ethan had ever dreamed of. Word of their project began to spread, and soon, tech companies were knocking on their door, eager to partner with them. The world was taking notice of Ethan Carter, the quiet genius who had been discarded. But as their success grew, so did the desperation from Ryan and Vanessa. The woman who had once discarded him now saw the value in his genius. She came crawling back, with promises and pleading. Vanessa showed up at Ethan's office one evening, her heels clicking loudly as she walked toward his desk. She was no longer the confident, charming woman she once was. The facade was cracked. "Ethan," she began, "I made a mistake. I thought Ryan was the future, but I see now. What you've built, what you're doing, it's incredible. I want to help. Let's make it work." Ethan's gaze didn't waver. "You should have thought about that before you turned your back on me. I don't need you now, Vanessa. You made your choice, and now I'm making mine." He had to admit, he had once seen Vanessa as his future, but now she felt like a shadow. He didn't need her for success. He was already living the life he'd always dreamed of, one that was all his own. Vanessa tried to sweet-talk her way back into Ethan's life and business, but the damage had been done. Her betrayal was too fresh, too raw. Ethan and Maya had built something greater than anything TitanTech had ever dreamed of, and now it was their time to shine. As the news spread that Ethan's company was taking off, Ryan's company began to lose credibility. The pressure was mounting. TitanTech's shareholders were demanding results, and without Ethan's expertise, Ryan was quickly sinking. Karma was doing its work, slowly but surely. Ethan sat in his office, watching as his program revolutionized industries. He smiled, but there was no sense of smug satisfaction. He had risen from the ashes of betrayal and had built something that was his, something that Vanessa, Ryan, and TitanTech would never take from him. Maya walked in, a small smile playing on her lips. "You did it, Ethan. We did it." "Yeah," he replied, looking out over the city. "We did." Vanessa's final attempt to make amends came and went, but Ethan never looked back. The woman who had once made him feel small, insignificant, was now trying to ride his coattails. Ethan had learned that sometimes letting go of the past was the best revenge. "Tell her Karma's a bitch," Ethan said to Maya, his voice steady as he turned back to the code. With his new AI system complete, Ethan found a new company that valued his expertise. He left TitanTech behind, but not in defeat. He had learned the true cost of vengeance and the power of forgiveness. He had been broken, but now he was stronger. Now, he was free. And as he walked into the new office, the weight of his past finally lifted. Ethan smiled. This was his redemption.